place that I'm in currently, but does not have to be where I remain. And so it also doesn't have to be where my mindset is. So you can be in a place physically, but your mindset, it doesn't have to be there and you don't have to stay there. And so that became my encouragement to keep moving forward.
Oh, I love that. I just wrote that down because I think that's a beautiful quote. You are not the situation that you are in. And oh my gosh, how many times have we all at some point in our lives been in a situation and we felt like it was defining everything that was going to be and everything that we were. And we get, our ego gets in the way and we try to, fight it and resist it when really we could just sit in that particular place and just say, this might be where I am physically, but I have all of the power to control what happens up here. I mean, think of all of the people, like Nelson Mandela and Gandhi and these incredible people, or all of the people who have done any time incarcerated when they were there, whether they were supposed to be there or not. And they took their minds to a different place and they wrote books or they created beautiful art or they, ran movements. And you think to yourself, how do you do that from a cell? Well,
but you have to take yourself out of your situation. I mean, honestly, like in the Army, one of the things they used to say to us is that mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. And that's, that might sound really crazy now, saying it, but it's true. If you don't think of it, and so I take it a little bit deeper. They were just saying, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. But if you don't mind, like if you don't allow it to take root in your mind, then it will not matter. If you start to think about those things that are greater than that, at where you're going and who you are, then it won't matter. And so that kind of takes me to like the next thing that, I did was understanding who I am. I had to know who I was. First, I had to tell myself, okay, wait a minute, you're not the situation you're in. You're not this situation, but who are you? Because if you don't know who you are, you can't move forward. You're still going to be telling yourself, well, obviously I'm somebody who can't get it together because it's not together, or, I'm broke because I don't have the money, or, I'm this, I'm that. You start telling yourself these things, but that's not who you truly are. That's just your circumstance. So there's a difference between, a fact and, and a truth. So a fact may be that you are currently in a position where your money's not right, or, you don't have the exact amount of contracts in or clients or whatever the case may be. But the truth is that you are still a wealthy person. And so you still have a wealthy mindset, and you still, as you said earlier, you may be, ambitious. You may be someone that's an overachiever. If that's who you are, that's who you are. So maybe things aren't panning out right now, but that doesn't mean that you're that person. That's just your circumstance.
Right. Exactly. And, and the other thing too, is that who we are changes. So who I was yesterday is not who I am today. I've already had circumstances go down today that have shifted my energy and changed the way that I look at things. Right. So every day we continue to grow. And I know that one of the questions that so many people ask me, and I'm sure they ask you this too, is, but how do I figure out who I am? Because there's all these people out there who seem to know who they are and they got it going on. And, like the last thing I wanted to hear 5 years ago when I was in the depths of my despair was that somebody beside me had it completely going on and they knew who they were, because I just wanted to drop kick them, because at the time I didn't even know where to start with that. Right now, you and I both know it's a journey. But what would you say to somebody? And I know this may be a hard question, but what would you say to somebody who said, Kim, I actually have no idea who I am. And I have spent 45 years trying to figure it out, and I can't figure it out. So can you tell me what I need to do to figure out who I am?
Well, and it's funny that you said that, because in my story, when all of that stuff happened and I ended up in this house and I was trying to figure out like what to do next and how I was going to get out of my situation, I slowly found myself moving out of the situation. And 6 months later, because this happened around November, December timeframe, and then my birthday's in the month of June. And so June is rolling around.
I know, it's your birthday month.
Yes.
I just had mine. I get
it. So June rolls around and I had this free flight to Puerto Rico. And so I decided to book myself an 8-day, 7-night stay in Puerto Rico by myself. And so I fly out to Puerto Rico and I'm sitting in this bed and breakfast, and I brought my pen and notepad because I always have one with me. And I turn on CNN and they start talking about the definition of success. And they start asking these questions. And it caused me to start writing questions about myself. And so, so I would say you start with this self-discovery, because then I started asking myself these questions like, well, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? What do you do well and what do you not do so well? Then I even went a little bit deeper. Remember how I talked about earlier, how I used to win all these awards and all this stuff. Well, what did you get awards for? What titles did you hold when you were in elementary school, junior high, high school? Like, because these are the people, these little things matter, because that has that says something about your personality. It's who you are. And so after I went through all that, what's the common denominator in all of these things? What are some of your hobbies, your interests along the years? What is the common denominator there? There's something there that reaches out. And I started realizing that I really enjoyed helping people. So then I started Googling like different professions that were out there to help people. And some right off the bat, I'm going to say like nursing. Yeah, I appreciate every nurse and doctor out there. I just could never do that job, and I knew that. So I was able to cross it off. I'm like, that's not going to. But as I went down the list, I started, some things just kind of resonated with me. And then I just looked at, again, some of the positions that I thought about having in my own life. And I said, this is the direction that I should go in. This is who I am at my core. At my core, I'm a person who wants to see people happy, not a people pleaser, but I like to see that joy in a person's eyes, in a person's face, when they've received that thing that they've waited so long to receive, that that they've wanted. Maybe that stems from, my desire to have those, to be joyful in those moments, but it extends out to other people. Yeah. And so it started to help me really understand, who I am. Of course, I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I don't have it all together, but no one can come in here and tell me that I'm a selfish person, because I know how much I love to give to others. Right. So when you start to discover those things about yourself, it helps you to defeat when those negative things begin to come in. Right.
Exactly.
I know I kind of answered some other stuff.
No, that's great. And, this is some of that foundational stuff. And, we can often kind of get lofty and people get lost in it, but this is foundational. I think that's so important, because there are so many women, especially in the Uncommon Woman movement, women who are struggling right now as we speak. Like they're right now where you were, right? Or they're right now where I was. And they need somebody to say, here's what you can do. Grab a pen and paper and sit down and start listing out the things that you love to do. List out the things that make you feel good. What are you good at? What are your skills? What do you know that you are strong at doing? And because when we do that, we're actually reinforcing our positivity, and we're reinforcing what it is that we know for sure. And sometimes, as Oprah says, what I know for sure is, what we know for sure is the things that we are good at and the things that we're not good at. Right. And so, and if we know those things, it brings us that much closer to knowing who we are and knowing what it is that lights us up. So you found out what? What did you learn? You said you helping other people.
I learned that I love to help people. I learned that, like you said, I'm an overachiever. I'm a high achiever. I like to set goals and accomplish them. I'm a goal setter. I'm a planner. I'm an organizer. And, but I also learned that, I'm a great delegator, but sometimes I might have issues with execution. Like, when you know your weaknesses, it helps you to know when you need to bring people in to help you as well. Right. But I wanted to say too, like, you were saying that, to sit down and write down what we know that we're good at. Mm-hmm. One thing that I find is that the first thing we start doing is writing those things that people have told us, that other people have said to us, and not necessarily what we know about ourselves. And that's the problem. We live our lives sometimes through the eyes of others instead of living our lives through our own eyes. And so we begin to try to live up to who other people think we are instead of living up to who we truly are. And so there's a difference. It's one thing to say that, I'm this great planner because everyone says I'm a great planner, versus knowing that this is something you're really good at. You don't even have to think twice about. So, that's what I encourage people to do. When you're sitting down writing out this list, you got to really be truthful with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. Like, if you're not good at something, you're just not good at it. And it's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. That's what makes us all unique, And so, and I learned those things. And I also learned that I'm drama free. I don't like drama.
Right. Good. And, I think it's really important to just get good at talking about what we're good at. Okay. I had a conversation last week with somebody, and I said to her, I need you to just tell me a few things that you're really good at. I think it was somebody that I was looking at hiring to be on my team. I can't even remember. I just remember that the conversation went like this. I don't know what I'm good at. Like, what do you mean you don't know what you're good at? It couldn't have been somebody that was hiring for my team, because they would have never said that. They would have had a long list of things. I can't remember what it was, but finally I said, sister, you got to step away from this whole, like, I'm not good at anything. And you got to drop into self-realization that you actually really do have some skills. So I had to start asking her questions, like, all the questions that you ask somebody, like, how about just the fact that you're a good daughter, or you're a good wife, or you're a good partner, because women in particular have a very hard time upselling themselves, right? They want to play everything down. Like, well, I'm okay. No, if you're great, you're great. It's okay to be great. We need people to be great at things. Can you imagine if everybody on this planet walked around saying, I'm not that good at that? A lot of things wouldn't be in existence today. So it's okay to talk about what you're great at. It's also really good practice, right? It's good mindfulness.
Yes.
So let's talk about what the work that you do now, and how, because I saw faith a lot come into your, in your bio when I was looking at your book and what your book is about. Faith is a really big piece of the work that you do. So how does faith play into your recovery from where you were to where you are now?
Well, I mean, of course, it's mystery. I am a minister. I'm a Christian minister, and I'm a believer in God. And so, I believe that we all have to have a belief system, and we all have to believe in something higher than ourselves. We cannot do everything alone, whether it's, you just try and do something on your own or with other people or something, but there's always something else at play. There's always something else at work, and you have to be mindful of that. And so, my faith is what really, I guess, knowing that I have a purpose, and knowing that, that my God is there to help me through every step of the way, really helps me to stay motivated and encouraged so that I can keep moving forward. It helps me to have those gentle reminders that I'm not in it alone, even when it may feel like I am, when there may not be anyone else around me, and so it honestly, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for God. And I acknowledge that every step of the way.
I love that. And I think everybody, it doesn't matter what your faith, everybody needs to have something that grounds them, that they're so deeply rooted in.
Right.
That when they are at their lowest of lows, when they don't believe that they can go any further, and their cup is completely empty, there's nothing there, that they have somebody, source or God or whomever it is, and they can go there, and they see it as an endless source of love and abundance and support, right? Because I myself have a very strong faith, and I often go into that place of leaning real hard in when I don't feel like I have anything left. And I just say, I need some answers here. And, I'm willing to do some work too, but I'm really needing some answers, and I need you to help me out, and some people don't have faith. If they don't have faith, having a person that they can go to and lean into, somebody that's kind of an endless supply of positivity and belief, right? For them, so important. So your faith has brought you through all kinds of nights, it sounds like. What is your latest challenge that you have? I like to kind of ask these questions. What's your latest challenge that you've experienced that you've had to lean into your faith?
Well, I have, and some people may or may not relate to this. Like, I've been married going on 7 years, and my husband, he works overseas. And so people who are really close to me or work with me, they know that. So there's a lot of faith that has to be built in that. But then also, just trying to build, to continue to build in my different directions. So of course I have to have faith that, I'm making the right steps, making the right decisions, that are only going to continue to grow what it is that I'm, trying to build here. So that's my biggest challenge right now is, try to go off into this new direction that I feel like, I'm being led into.
Well, you know what, if you feel the pull, then it's right? It's really just a matter of just time, finding your groove and doing, just showing up every day, again, in that really strong faith and just saying, I know